Hello, and welcome to One Cool Thing, PC Mag's daily show on Facebook, where we talk to you about one cool thing.
No, two cool things.
Oh, there's two cool things?
There's two cool things. We have to change the name. It's two cool things
All right, let's get some new artwork here and, and get ready to talk about the Pixel 2 and the Pixel 2 XL.
See, it's two things. It's not just one thing.
Okay, I'm Tom Brand, this is Sasha Segan, and yes, indeed we do have two cool things today.
Yeah, and of course we are taking your comments and questions. Social Pete is back. I would not say he is in black. He's actually in a variety of shades of blue.
Yeah.
But he is there to take your comments and questions about what I have to say has possibly been the most divisive phone of the year, the Pixel 2 XL.
Really? Why is that?
Yes. So we have rated the Pixel 2 XL, that's this larger phone here, our editor's choice, for having a lot of great features. Really elegant, pure Google software. It's going to get updates for 3 years. It'll get Android Quinoa. It'll get Android Peanut Butter. It'll get. I believe
it's pronounced quinoa.
Yeah, it may get Android Reese's.
Yeah.
You know, I can keep on making up these Android names, but the great Google software, dual front-facing speakers, very little bezel, the best camera on any smartphone today, eternal battery life. Okay, but the color balance of the screen has resulted in debates among phone reviewers on the internet that have just gone out of control.
Why do you care about the color balance of a screen?
Because some people really hate it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
should we try to show that off? Is
yeah.
That the first thing? Okay.
Let's talk about, here we have the $649 Pixel 2 made by HTC.
Okay.
And the $849 Pixel 2 XL made by LG.
Google won't tell you that, but we happen to know that they're made by different companies.
And the first thing you see, of course, is that the HTC phone has these gigantic bezels around its 5-inch 1080p screen. And now Google says this is to enable the dual front-facing speakers. But of course, the LG phone, with its 2880 by 1446-inch screen, does not have giant bezels and still has even more powerful dual front-facing speakers.
Indeed, it does.
So there's that. But of course, what you can probably see on these screens right now, and just making sure there's no sensitive information here, is that the HTC's screen is balanced much more yellow. And the LG screen is balanced much more blue. And this becomes much more dramatic when you look at the LG screen from an angle.
Now, can we try? Yeah, let's try to do that here. So we can try to see it from an angle. Basically, it is very noticeable if you have two of them side by side.
Let's
go ahead and take a question from the audience.
What's the max speed for the connections on these?
So these are both LTE Category 15 phones with a maximum speed of 800 megabits a second. And it's interesting because they have all of the hardware needed for gigabit LTE on 3 of the 4 major networks, everyone but Sprint. They work on Sprint, just not at their maximum speed. And however, Google just chose in firmware not to enable full gigabit speeds, which is interesting, and maybe they could upgrade it in the future, but in any case, the most important thing is that you have in here a feature called 4x4 Mimo, and this uses 4 separate antennas in each phone to deliver what we've found is better signal strength and better performance, especially in weak signal areas. And the Galaxy S8 has this, the Moto Z2 has this, the iPhones do not have it. Yeah. So yeah, 800 megabits a second, but we think that in real life, it is going to perform very well because it has all of the key hardware.
And that obviously depends on the carrier, the signal strength of the network, but in general, this is among the fastest phones that you're going to get. And so as we were saying, this is $649 for the small one. How much is the big Pixel 2 XL?
The big one is $849. Now they both have 64 and 128 gig storage versions. There's no expandable storage as usual on Nexus and Pixel phones.
No SD card slot.
No SD card slot. There's also, let's note, no headphone jack. And in the case of the smaller one, there is really no physical excuse for that. In case of the larger one, you can see the argument that the front-facing speakers are basically where the headphone jack would go, so they made that choice. But yeah, you are going to have to use USB-C headphones or Bluetooth headphones or a dongle. Like you do on, on the iPhones with their Lightning headphones, or on Motorola's, or on other non-jacky phones.
Yeah. Now you said battery life is really good.
Yeah.
How good are we talking about?
Yeah, the battery life on these things, this is one of the reasons they went Editor's Choice, is extraordinary. We were talking, we're in the 8 to 9 hour range of use on maximum brightness with the small one, the 9 to 10 hour range of use on maximum brightness with the large one, but also Pixel phones, because of the efficiency of Google software, tend not to leak a lot of battery in standby.
Right.
So you see that under heavy use, they match Samsung battery life, which is excellent under heavy use, but on standby, they exceed Samsung battery life because Google software is so efficient.
And there's no skin on top of the Android thing that's bogging down the software.
Yeah.
There's no
there's no extra voice assistant.
Yeah.
And we'll get to the assistant thing in a minute, but it looks like we have another question.
Can you just clarify which carriers you can get this on?
So the Pixels work on all 4 major US carriers. They work best on non-Sprint carriers, although they do work on Sprint. You buy them from the Google Store online. Verizon is selling a slightly inferior version of the Pixel in their own stores.
How is it inferior?
Because it has dumb Verizon bloatware on it, and also the bootloader is locked.
Okay.
So
don't buy it. So buy it unlocked from Google, and then take it to Verizon.
Right. It's perfect. It's a great phone for Verizon, but you should buy the version from the Google Store and then use that with your Verizon account, and then you won't have. Then you won't be stuck with preloaded NFL Mobile for the rest of your life.
Let's go for another question.
We've got someone asking what storage size you recommend. Do you think long term you need 128?
I think the 64 is fine. Yeah, I mean, but also because these phones include unlimited Google Photos storage, you will be offloading your photos and videos to Google Photos. I mean, you really want to embrace the Google ecosystem on these phones.
Yeah, and it depends on how many apps you have. If you're someone that downloads an app and then uses it once, and maybe forgets about it, never removes it from your phone, you're going to need more storage. But if you kind of manage that, you're going to be able to make do with less. But in any case, that's still a lot of storage.
I find that the largest consumer of storage on my phone is the videos I record.
Right.
And because we have the unlimited cloud storage here, you're going to be periodically offloading your videos to Google Photos.
Are you going to be doing that, or is it doing that automatically?
It automatically uploads them.
Okay.
You have to proactively hit one option in Google Photos to then delete them from your phone. So it's not going to secretly delete stuff from your phone, because that would be nasty. Yeah, so I think the 64 is fine.
Okay, let's go with another question.
How long will Google Drive for Photos be free?
How long is that? Oh, I'm not sure. I think that's online. Let me check that. Let me check that answer.
There are actually, so while he's checking that, there are actually a multitude of different free photo, well, put free in quotes, free photo storage options for mobile, for smartphones. Amazon has their own version, Amazon Drive. If you're a Prime customer, you can actually upload unlimited photos and videos, and it's similar where you really do have to manage the storage on your phone. Yeah, it's not going to do that for you.
The answer is through the end of 2020.
Unlimited Google Drive.
You get your unlimited Google Drive uploads through the end of 2020.
If you buy a Pixel.
With these phones. Okay. Yes. Another question?
How different are the displays?
The displays are different in a lot of ways. In some ways, this display is better. In some ways, this display is better. And I shall explain. So the color balance is quite different. A lot of people are more liking the HTC's color balance. You will get used to the LG's color balance. It's not there are some reviewers out there who are saying that this is a deal-breaking flaw. No, it's just a different color balance.
If for some reason you buy the Pixel 2 and the Pixel 2 XL and use them side by side as you're walking down the street,
but if it's your only phone, it's not really gonna bother you. Now that said, this if you intend to use Google's Daydream headset,
virtual reality headset.
Their virtual reality headset. The smaller Pixel has a 440 ppi screen. The bigger Pixel has a 539 ppi screen. And it turns out that the smaller phone looks extremely pixelated in the headset.
Like even more so than we've seen some early VR headsets that are very pixelated, even more. Or
well, no, not considerably more so than this one.
Okay.
If you intend to use VR at all, you basically have to get this one, or the pixels in the visible pixels in VR on the smaller one become really annoying really fast. Yeah. So yeah, differences between these displays.
That's quite distracting when you're doing a game where you're moving around and could lead to motion.
And there's more. There's not a huge difference in brightness. It is very much about the color balance. Neither of them is an overwhelmingly bright screen. If you want the brightest screen available, you have to get a Samsung Galaxy Note 8.
So we need to talk about the camera because that's a huge part of it.
Yeah.
But let's take another question before we do that.
Yeah, someone's actually asking about the resolution on the camera. So,
so the Pixels have a 12.2 megapixel main camera. That is the best megapixel right now. It seems that any resolution above that on a camera phone size sensor is not getting you additional image quality nowadays.
Okay.
So they picked the sweet spot at 12.2 megapixels. And what really makes this camera stand apart is its spectacular low light capability. Now, it doesn't have dual cameras, so you don't get the 2x zoom or the wide angle that you may get on some other high-end phones. But in low light, these cameras turn out better images than any other phone we've been able to test. Comparing it against a Galaxy S8 and Note 8, which are the other best cameras on the market, we saw that this camera, especially on the XL, which gets held a little more stably because it's a larger phone.
Right.
This camera, especially on the XL, has slightly higher virtual shutter speeds in low light, which reduces blur. And also, it's better able to judge color balance under a range of weird low lighting conditions, creating more realistic, better looking images.
And this is all in the software, the image processing software that's with the phone. So that's really a software interface.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that this is roughly the same sensor as Samsung has.
Right.
But what we have is Google's image processing software is just spectacular. And it's going to get better. They have a chip that they are turning on in the phone in the next couple of weeks, which is supposed to further enhance HDR capabilities. And HDR is already pretty good on this phone, and it's going to be great.
Now, when we're talking about HDR, though, that's actually just for HDR photos, that it increases the contrast between the colors. Now, but before we move on to another question, are the cameras the same?
The cameras are functionally the same. I saw very slight differences in low light capability while testing the two cameras that I may be able to chalk up merely to the fact that the bigger, heavier phone wobbles less in your hand in low light conditions.
So yeah, I mean, that's important because low light means that you really need to be as stable as
exactly,
you can.
Exactly. So yeah, but the cameras are, similar enough not to matter.
Right. So if cameras are important to you, which they are for a huge number of smartphone buyers, you're fine with really either one.
Yeah, and the front-facing camera is also very good. It's not as crazily standout. But one thing to note is that by default, the front-facing camera here gives more textured, realistic pictures, whereas Samsung and LG cameras, and this is actually a Korean manufacturer cultural bias, they tend to smooth out your face. Korean manufacturers love to default to beauty filters that can be actually pretty hard to turn off. But this gives you a more realistic, and in my case, it's a craggier, wrinklier look. But at least it's those crags and wrinkles. I have earned them, people. I've earned them.
Buy the Pixel 2 and be honest to yourself.
Exactly.
Let's take another question.
Overall, would you recommend the Pixel 2 XL over the Note 8?
The Pixel 2 XL versus the Note 8. I think the question really comes down to whether or not you will use the stylus. Okay, the Note 8 has the stylus. The stylus is great. The stylus is a niche feature. I love the stylus. If you think you will use the stylus, the Note 8 is your superior phone.
And it's really the only high-end phone that has a stylus.
The Pixel 2 XL is getting our overall editor's choice. It's a little less expensive. It has that elegant Google software. It has a slightly better camera. So for most people, I think the Pixel 2 XL will please them a little bit more.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I think that ultimately a stylus is something that is entirely a matter of preference. There is nothing that you can say that this is the best interface
the Note
for the
8
phone.
has a lot of other little features that people will like. Okay, its screen is brighter. It has that micro SD card, which a lot of people like.
Yeah, if you have tons of storage and you don't use the cloud, then you can
Absolutely, it has a headphone jack.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of reasons to get a Note 8. Okay, but we just think that the Google software and the slightly higher quality of the camera just overbalance it a little bit. But these are you know, very, very narrow differences here, and we're going to see people choosing both of these phones and being extremely happy with them.
Yeah, and in general, though, I mean, like the camera is going to be used probably more often than the stylus for the majority of people. So
yeah. But that said, the difference between the Pixel XL camera and the Note 8 camera is very slight. So these are, you know, it's a situation where these phones are basically tied in terms of quality.
Right, sure. Now, the other cool thing about some of the software on this, it has the Google Assistant, which you can talk to, ask calendar questions, you know, use third-party integrations. When you were testing this phone a couple days ago, it actually responded to you from across the studio.
So it turns out that was a bug based on the fact that these phones have a weird test account loaded on them.
Okay.
And the phones will not. The phones will properly sync up if they all have the same Google account on them.
Right. But basically, the voice recognition, you know, the short thing is the voice recognition is very good.
Yes.
You can put it across the studio.
And another advantage, once again, software-wise, that these have over something like the Note 8 is that the Note 8 has that obnoxious button on the side which launches Bixby.
The Bixby button.
Samsung's assistant that no one ever wants to use.
Yeah.
And
you can turn it off, but you can't reassign it.
You can turn off the button.
You can turn off the button, but then you just have a dead button on your phone.
Right. Whereas these, you squeeze them, and oh, this one's locked. But here, you squeeze them, and you get Google Assistant, the voice assistant that you actually do want to use.
And that works for both?
Yeah, that works for both. That works for both.
What other phones have the squeezing feature? I seem to remember there was another.
Just the HTC U11. It's an HTC
U11.
proprietary feature. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Let's take another question.
What's the rating, waterproof rating mean? Does it protect only against rain, or can you submerge it?
Yeah, these guys are IP67. The difference between 67 and 68 seems to be basically only in lab tests. It has to do with how deep, in theory, it can be submerged into water, and for 30 minutes versus a longer period of time.
Yeah.
But ultimately, yes. So you can drop these in the pool and fish them out. You can drop them in the sink and fish them out.
Right.
That's the thing.
Toilet, maybe.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, and the thing is, too, is many phones now have this IP67 or 68 rating, so that's not necessarily an advantage to the Google Pixel, but it certainly will save your, make your life a lot less miserable if you do happen to drop it in.
Right. Like, I don't see people soaking their phones in water for an hour at a time at the depth of 6 feet. Like, at that point, your phone is basically lost, right?
Sure.
You're not getting that phone back.
Yeah.
So IP67, IP68, I don't really think are functional differences that people run into. The point is, you don't have to worry about getting it wet.
Let's talk about cases. Would you use either one of these with a case? I mean, this screen on the Pixel 2 XL does extend kind of to the end.
There will be cases for them. I mean, I suggest a case on any phone.
Yeah.
But the matte back is really nice. By the way.
Yes, we got to talk about the back too with the fingerprint reader.
Yeah. So the fingerprint reader is in a better position than on Samsung phones, and this is one of those things where people are outraged about the about the Pixel's color balance, but they were equally outraged about the location of the fingerprint reader on Samsung phones.
Where is it?
It's right next to the camera lens.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So you're going to get a bunch of fingerprints on your lens.
That's what people are afraid of. If that is your greatest fear, then this fingerprint reader will please you much more. But I also like how this phone has a nice matte back. It feels warm. It feels grippy.
Yeah,
you're not about to drop it or lose it. This is a matte aluminum that's happening here.
Let's take another question.
How good are the front-facing speakers?
The front-facing speakers, actually, they're different on the two phones. On the bigger phone, they are fuller and rounder. They're quite good on the bigger phone. On the smaller phone, I found them to be kind of harsh.
Okay.
Let me see if I can fire them up here. Let me get up some Google Music.
While he's doing that, the difference really is the fact that they managed on the Pixel 2 XL to put the speakers at the very edges of the phone, and presumably because it is a bigger form factor, they are able to fit better speaker components in there.
Yeah, I can't. Hang on, the Google Music is not working, but I am going to.
Can we talk to the Google Assistant?
No, I'm going to get a song up on. I'm going to get a song up on YouTube, which will do it. Here we go. Here's a song on YouTube through the front-facing speakers.
Okay.
Video will play after ad. YouTube.
And that's one of the things.
Here we go.
Okay.
So, you see, it's a little tinny. This one.
Right.
But if I play the same song on this guy here,
which we can't do.
Which we can do.
Okay.
Actually, no, we need to get unlocked.
Let's have someone unlock.
Someone off the screen is going to unlock this phone now and call up the YouTube app.
Yes.
Okay, call up the YouTube app.
Okay.
And I'll show you the difference with the front-facing speakers with this one.
It's interesting because what I typically do when I'm listening to audio from my iPhone, which is not often, is I actually sometimes cup it so that the sound bounces off my hand, because the iPhone 6S, at least the one that I have, has a bottom speaker. That's not something you're really going to do with this, though, because you'd have to, put it on.
No, you want it to face towards you, and that actually makes it a lot better for things like conference calls.
Yeah, sure.
That sort of stuff.
Right.
We got our tube. We got our tube. Great. Our tube. No. No. That is not the song I wanted to play.
We seem to have a different song.
Hang on. I'm getting a different song up, getting the same song I was playing earlier.
Okay. Oh yes, there is much more
distinctly
volume.
Better.
Yeah.
Not just more volume, but just more harmonics, a rounder sound. Use a little bit of a suggestion of bass. There's no actual bass, but at least there's the idea that bass might exist.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you can have great conference calls, or you can annoy people on the bus or the train with,
pretty much.
With this.
Pretty much. We have another question.
Someone wanted you to comment on the lack of SIM card in here, because it's what, built in?
No, it has a SIM card. Okay, so this is a confusing thing that a lot of people have misunderstood. There was some coverage out there over an eSIM that is in this phone to connect it to Google Fi.
Which is their wireless carrier.
Right, that is true. If you are connecting to Google Fi, you do not need to add an additional SIM card. The connection is built in with an electronic Google Fi SIM. However, if you want to connect it to any other carrier, you add a SIM card, just like any other phone.
And there actually is. Here's the
Yep,
the
and I've been
right
switching around SIM cards. I've run both of these phones on both Verizon and T-Mobile. So except for that relatively small number of people who are using Google Fi, this operates as a standard SIM card phone like any other phone. It's not a magic eSIM phone which switches carriers and software.
Yeah. If you want to go, so basically you have to go all Google for both your service and your phone in order to
take advantage of that eSIM thing. And really the only
matter.
benefit is that Google Fi doesn't have to send you a SIM card.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you notice any glow issues with the screens?
I don't know what that means. The screens glow. They're glowy.
Yeah, we actually have them at maximum brightness right now, and
they radiate light. That is what screens do. Have I watched glamorous ladies of wrestling? Not on these screens particularly.
That we know of.
If you want to clarify what that means in the comments, that would be great. But the fact that I can't figure out what your question means that I probably have not run into what your problem is.
We can say this about the screens, though. They do not seem to have a huge effect on the remarkable battery life of the phone. I mean,
yeah, and that's a great thing about OLED. That's a great thing about OLED. OLED screens are generally pretty power efficient.
I think
I think we have to wrap this up, actually. So
we're all good with questions.
Great. So yes, this is the Google Pixel 2 and the Google Pixel 2 XL, $649, $849.
Editor's choice right here.
Editor's choice right here on the big one. Not so much on the little one. If you want to spend less on a phone, wait for the next thing OnePlus is coming out with. I hear it's coming out soon. But the reviews are up on PCMag.com. Please enjoy, and we will see you. Tomorrow
at 10 a.m. Eastern with yet another one.
I completely forgot what day of the week it was. That happens to me at least once a month on this show. We will see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern for another One Cool Thing.
Thanks very much. Bye-bye.